Hello and welcome to my Hearts of Iron 4 playthrough. And what you see on the screen before you right now is the historical timeline of Germany in real life and pretty much matching it in the game. So if you choose to play Germany historical, or if you let the AI play Germany in a historical game, um, these are the typical events that occur in that game. Germany annexes Anschluss, or excuse me, Austria annexes Austria with the national focus Anschluss in approximately March of 38, followed shortly afterwards by annexing portions of Czechoslovakia and eventually annexing all or most of Czechoslovakia, and the portion it doesn't annex it creates a puppet state with. Followed by 1939, in particular September of 39, they invade Poland. World tension is high enough at that point that the Allies guarantee the independence of Poland. And because Germany refuses to retreat out of Poland, the Allies declare war. And Russia invades Poland about a week after this, maybe 2 weeks after this. I don't recall the exact window, but they begin invading from the east. And that invasion causes hesitation to the Allies. So the Allies don't actually, historically speaking, uh, start a lot of hostilities, much of any hostilities against Germany. They're afraid of fighting both Russia and Germany. And because of that, that allows Poland to steamroll through Germany and Russia to steamroll through, excuse me, allows Germany to steamroll through Poland. It allows Russia to steamroll from the east through Poland, and Poland falls quite rapidly because they're fighting on two fronts and do not have the resources to resist. Then, in 1940, Germany follows up with the invasion of the Benelux, Benelux being Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. The resistance across those three countries is uh, overcome so rapidly they continue to push into France. And as Germany approaches the outskirts of Paris, France capitulates. They do not want the decimation of their cities. Having a recent a recent um, uh, recently recalling the events of World War One. So that recollection of decimation that, that was all over Europe in World War One triggers France to capitulate and save their country in the context of without it being bombed into oblivion. So Vichy France is formed. Germany occupies all of northern France and the Atlantic coast, including the English Channel, the western coast of France. Vichy France is relegated to controlling southern and east central France. But anyway, 1940, those countries fall quickly, but Germany becomes overconfident with its successes and chooses to backstab Russia in 1941, the beginning of the end of Germany having the ability to come out victorious of this war. Russia, kind of suspecting but not suspecting this action, is initially taken aback, and Germany pushes quite rapidly through the flatlands of um, Western Russia. Uh, During that push, Germany also has an arrangement with Japan and Italy that they are also partners in this global war, and Japan bombs Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, in early December. Shortly afterwards, Germany declares war on the United States, the final nail in the coffin of Germany. Germany does not have the resources, does not have the manpower to defeat all of these countries. And within 3 years ish, 3.5 years of the USA and Russia joining this war, Germany falls, and it's the end of World War II in Europe. put it simply. That is not the timeline I will be playing. This is the timeline I will be playing. You might note if you just look at the titles and the bold area, there is no Russia, there is no USA, but it's also an earlier ending to the timeline. Germany has 4 critical resource problems in the game. They don't have rubber. They don't have sufficient amount of oil to actually be a world player with the militarization strategies they're employing. They don't have enough chromium. They don't have enough tungsten. So they will struggle in the game if those are not addressed. So in January of 1936, the first month of the game, I will, as playing Germany, I will justify a war against the Dutch East Indies, drawing the Netherlands into a war. And that war, or that justification, completes on the 29th of January. Uh, the Netherlands does not have sufficient military capabilities to resist this. I will steamroll in 7 days or less all of the Netherlands and will claim the Dutch imperial holdings, which include sources of oil and rubber, 2 of the critical resources that Germany has in short supply. I will still annex Austria, but I'm going to do it a year earlier than the historical timeline. Then Germany will be building its infrastructure. It will wait about 2 years before invading Poland. And during that delay of, and it's not really a delay compared to historical, but during the interim time, world tension drops. And it drops to the point that Germany can invade Poland without triggering the Allies' guarantee of independence of Poland. So Germany will end up taking out Poland without the assistance of Russia, and the Poles will fall, setting up the ability to execute Sudetenland if I choose to, and I won't care about world tension at that point. The game is coded that if you play a historical timeline, Czechoslovakia will always accept the German demand for Sudetenland, and Poland will always reject the demand for Danzig. So I will trigger the national focus demand Danzig for Poland. I will fight Poland without the Allies. I will then trigger the demand Sudetenland. Czechoslovakia will submit, and I will get more core states added to the German Empire. Finally, last 2 things to wrap up this playthrough will be steamrolled at a pace equal to or faster than what the historical timeline does, of moving through the Benelux and into France and having all 4 of those countries capitulate. And then finally, because I will have a large naval dockyard capabilities, I will challenge the British fleet in the English Channel. I will have sufficient air dominance over the British Channel that I will be able to navally invade England in 1940, triggering the defeat of the 2 majors, France already defeated, and the United Kingdom being the 2nd major country in the Allies, triggering the end of the war. This is what I'm going to do. This will be all part of the playthrough. I do have to set up my environment before I unpause the game, so I'm going to trigger a new game. I'm going to do a variety of configuration settings so that I'm best prepared to unpause the game and go through the timeline as I've described it. So I have to manage my Army, my Navy, and my Air Force. So what you see on the screen right now are the function keys, the F keys that you can use to go in and manage those individual things. You'll see me do it here shortly. And what you also see here now on the screen is I also have to manage construction, production, and research. So that's also part of the configuration that I'll be doing here shortly. So let's switch perspectives. Let's look at the game screen. And from the game screen, let's go ahead and do single player, new game, January 1, that's the default, 1936. And let's go ahead and select country. The default country is Germany. Let's go ahead and trigger start. I do have to pick a file. This is a file that doesn't exist, so it's going to create a new file for me. So I'm going to do save and play. And here we're going to see the beginnings of a playthrough. And I still have to do the setup that I described there momentarily ago. So I'm just going to take these event or alert notifications and knock them out, most of them out right off the bat. Let's go to research. And for research, I upgrade my air capabilities with fuel tanks. I'm also going to go out here and increase my research speed by studying electromechanical engineering. And I'm going to increase my efficiency in producing equipment by studying and researching basic machine tools. And I'm going to increase my construction rate by researching construction 1. Those are my first 4 research slots. I also have to define what I'm going to build. This is my production or my construction side. I'm going to first build I'm going to first put into my queue 4 infrastructure orders. So these are currently infrastructure level 4 out of 5. I'm going to add 1 level of infrastructure, upgrading the infrastructure to level 5. I'm also going to build military factories in those 3 locations, and I'm also going to dedicate one of those locations to civilian factories. But this is not the order in which I'm going to build things. I want to get my military factories built, but I don't want to build them before the infrastructure is completed. So I'm going to complete infrastructure in Rhineland and Westfalen, then I'll build factories in Rhineland and Westfalen. And you can probably guess what I'm going to do next. I'm going to complete my infrastructure in Hessen, then I'm going to build my factories, civilian factories in Hessen, complete infrastructure in Moselland, and then build the factories in Moselland. Could I move this up? I could. I don't really care. It's not critical to my timeline. So I just build it in this order. So my construction queue is filled. I still have my production, my military factories, 20 of which are already assigned, 8 of which can still be assigned. I'm going to change the order of things a little bit here. I'm going to put my light tanks on top. I'm going to initially build 3. I'm going to move my artillery up. I'm going to give it 3. And I'm going to build support equipment. I'm going to give it 4. I have 3 left to assign. I've got 25 out of 28 assigned. My last 3 I put on my current airframes that I'm building. Fighters, close air support, and medium bombers. There are people who argue medium bombers are pointless. I like them. I use them. It's no big deal to me. So 28 out of 28 have been assigned. But because I'm going to be building military factories, I want to pre-allocate where they go. And so if I increase my tanks from 3 to 5, right here you'll see it, the numbers will change. I have 3 out of 5. The next 2 military factories that are built will be assigned here. I'm going to do something very similar to my artillery and something very similar to my support equipment. Okay, so I've got 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 3 out of 5. If I build 3 military factories, where will they go? It backfills from top to bottom. So the first 2 go here, the next one goes here, and then this will still have 1 slot available. So after I build my 4th, it will go here, and then on my 5th military factory, it will go here. Again, that's why I'm changing the order, because I want them to backfill from top to bottom. Last thing I want to backfill is my infantry equipment, the guns that my infantry uses, and I'm going to add 5 additional to that build item or to the infantry equipment in my queue. So 2, 2, 1, 5. 10 military factories pre-allocated for when the military factories have been built. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Now I'm going to shift click. The reason I'm holding down the shift key when I click on unassigned divisions is it will take all of them. If I simply click on this, it picks 1. If I shift click, it picks all. So I'm going to shift click. Then I'm going to click on this lower or smaller profile, shadowed profile head, because that's an army designation, a placeholder for potentially a general I can assign. But that army currently has all 30 of the divisions that Germany starts the game with. I am going to come up here and I'm going to click on a general. And I want you to pay attention. Do you see that 30 number at the bottom, which is in white? Once I assign a general, it changes to red, and it says 30/24. My military factory said 3/5 because I have 3 out of 5 military factories. Now I've got 30 out of 24. What that really is trying to tell you is the color, warning, pay attention to me, red, and I have 30 divisions assigned to a general, which can only effectively manage 24. So I'm now going to do a mouse over on the 30, and you can see current penalty. When you exceed the maximum number of divisions assigned to a general, there is a penalty to effectiveness, and there's a 25% penalty. I do not want that. So I'm going to take the remaining divisions and assign them to, and I shouldn't say the remaining. I'm going to select the non-infantry divisions and assign them to a new army group. That happened to be 6, so when I took 6 away from that, now I have 24 out of 24 divisions assigned to that general. The general no longer has a penalty when fighting. That's what we want. I have another army out here. Let's go ahead and look at the membership of that army. 3 tanks, 1 truck, 1 horse, and 1 mountain thing. Well, I want them to all be tanks, so I'm going to click on this icon right here, change division template, and I'm going to change them all to Panzer division, 3 of which were already Panzer. They won't change, but the other 3 will. Those last 3 all get this Panzer icon, this light tank icon. Done. Let's give them a general now. Click here. I'm going to give them Heinz Guderian. He is the best starting tank general in the game. Many people have read about Erwin Rommel being a great tank general. He is. Heinz Guderian is actually the primary tank general historically in the game itself, for Germany historically. Rommel caught a lot of press. He did well. He was fantastic. Heinz Guderian equal to or better than Rommel. That's just my personal opinion. But who cares? The point of this was to point out that we're switching them all to Panzers because he's an effective Panzer general. He does well while overseeing Panzers. Anyway, I'm going to take both of those armies by clicking here. They're both highlighted. And I'm going to click on this larger uh, uh, profile icon. What that does is it assigns both armies to be overseen by a field marshal. Now I'm going to do something which is personal preference. It doesn't make the game work better or worse, but I'm changing the color of the field marshal, the color assigned to the field marshal symbol, to white. I said it was personal preference. It doesn't make the game work better, doesn't change their effectiveness of fighting. All it does is it makes it easier for me to spot field marshal orders. I'm also going to assign a field marshal to it. I'm choosing this field marshal right here, Gunther von Kluge, and he has a trait which is offensive doctrine. The other 2 have different traits. This one is defensive. This one is defensive. I'm going to be fighting, attacking aggressively. I'm not going to be defending. So I'm going to put a field marshal on those armies that will be designed to enhance their ability to fight. So that's why I chose that general. So back to personal preferences. I'm going to take the infantry army and I'm going to change its color to green. Not going to change the symbol. This is where you could change the symbol. I'm only changing the color. You'll see up here it changed. I'm going to rinse and repeat very similarly, but I'm going to do the tanks. And I want this icon for the tanks. You'll see that the icon changed here. It changed here, but I'm going to change the color to red. It helps me identify quickly what an army's function is. I leave the default icon for infantry. I change the default icon for tanks. Personal preference doesn't make it work or not work. Okay. Now, I currently have the tank army selected. I'm going to give them an order and it's a fallback line. So I'm just going to right click, and as I draw or drag the pointer across the screen, it extends that line. So my red tank army will move here. And you might note out here, do you see the color? When I'm not putting the pointer on top of it, it does appear as red. Similar to this is red. Personal preference changes to other armies you're going to see later on. That there could be some confusion with some of the default colors I choose, and you'll watch me shift the colors so it becomes visible. But red is red. Now, I'm going to now take the same red army. I'm going to give them new order. This is the front line order. I want them to go here. But it says no divisions assigned. Why? Initially, I want all of my tanks to come here. When I'm ready to fight the Dutch, I'm going to do a control click, holding the control key down, and I'm going to click here, and you'll see my fallback line has no divisions. My front line has 6. That's a change I'm going to do much later, so I'm going to reverse it right now. I'm going to control click right here and reassign all 6 to the fallback line. Starting here, they will be switching here. Now, the Green Army, I'm going to give it a fallback order. So I'm going to have them operate right there. That's where they're going to start. But then I'm going to switch to the Field Marshal. And on my Field Marshal order, I'm going to click up here as a frontline order against the border of the Netherlands. It is white. There are no green. There's no green information associated with it. That's because I haven't been reassigned. If I do choose to reassign, I can click on the Green Army and click here. And look, the Green Army is going to change to that order. I'm going to have the Green Army instead go back to its fallback order. So just like before, you can have more than one assignment to an army, but you can also have only, well, I shouldn't say only, you can assign your divisions differently. I'm going to leave them on fallback. I will switch them to their frontline order. In addition, once they switch to their frontline order, they're also going to assume this offensive order, which is where they're going to attack. All of that's going to be addressed later on as we start to move through the Netherlands, but my initial setup is, as I described before, F1, let's manage the army. The army has been managed mostly at this point. Now I'm going to hit F2. Let's manage my Navy. I want those 8 submarines to train. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and click here, and they're being told to train from level 1, but stop training when all of them are at level 3. I don't need another fleet of submarines to train separately. Instead, I'm just going to right click. I left click to select that fleet, and then I right click on the fleet I want them to merge into, and boom. I still have 14 submarines. Of the 14 submarines, 8 are already in place. 6 are en route to move in and merge with that fleet. Last thing I want to do with that fleet is disable this or enable it. You can think of it two ways. Currently, the ability to repair is disabled. I want to reverse that. I've now allowed individual submarines as part of this fleet, if they become damaged during training, to repair. I don't like to leave it as you cannot repair. I like to allow them to break off and go repair. In my opinion, I get fewer losses that way because as they get damaged, they peel off and run. I'm fine with that. So I also have a surface fleet up above here, the middle one. That's the one that's going to be my primary training fleet initially. So just like before, I'm going to shift click, and you can see they're out here, and this is where they're going to train. I don't need those 2 light cruisers or medium cruisers. I'm not even sure what they are. I don't need them to be their standalone fleet. So just like I did with the 6 submarines, I'm going to do with these 2 surface ships. I'm going to left click to highlight them, then right click on the fleet I want them to merge into. This fleet, however, will get an order, and that order is Strike Force. When you do training, it automatically picks the sea zone that they are closest to train in. When you pick Strike Force, it doesn't pick a sea zone. So now I'm going to be doing some right clicking to assign that fleet to defend here, and defend here. When you see a color that is green, it means it is controlled by your Navy. When you see a color that is red or yellow, it is either inefficiently or completely overmatched in that sea zone. Training always turns red if you don't have some type of offensive um, fleet operating in that sea zone. I just like to get rid of my red by doing this. So Strike Force Fleet covering those 3 zones, they're all green. It is cosmetic. It doesn't make them train any better or any worse, but when hostilities break out, if I were only operating Strike Force here, these would be truly red sea zones that I could potentially be in jeopardy of losing ships in. I don't want that. I'm pre-staging Strike Force across all of them. However, let's look at the members of the Strike Force fleet. Some of them are not level 3. So everyone that is not level 3, I will individually highlight. I'll hold the shift key down as I click through them so they stay highlighted. And then I'm going to right click so that they get reassigned to my training fleet. So only the 7 that are out here already level 3 stay here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the Navy icon that oversees the 2 fleets. And you're going to see, hey, they're not allowed to repair. Let's undo that. Boom. Now they can repair if they're damaged. They also don't have an admiral. Let's give them an admiral. For my surface fleet, this is who I choose, Eric Rader. And for my submarine fleet, I take the top one here, Karl Donitz. He is a fantastic submarine admiral. So what have I done? I've configured my Navy. Now I'm going to hit F3. Got to do my Air Force. I'm zooming out. I hit F3 and I zoomed out. Why? Because then I can draw a box around all the airplanes. And then I'm going to right click here, tell them fly into Berlin. I'm going to be organizing my air wings. Currently, if you look out here, this air wing has 72 planes. This one has 120. That has 160, 80, 120, 80, 40, 80, 120, 80. It's kind of goofy. And those 120 medium bombers, for instance, it's broken into 2 groups of 60. But if you pay attention here, it's 60 out of 100. So I'm potentially uh, way behind in the number of airplanes. I'm missing 28 here, I'm missing 40 here, missing another 40, missing 20, missing 40, 40. As I scroll through the list, I'm missing a lot of airplanes. Why? Because I don't have them built. Look, 220 fighters. I'm going to change that to 20. 220 medium bombers. I'm going to change that to 20. 28 naval bombers. Not going to touch that initially. And I'm missing 20 close air support. Not going to address that immediately. First thing I'm going to do is get those planes to fly to Berlin. And then I'm going to address my deficits. Planes I do not need. Right here. This is a not a convoy. This is a supply transport plane. Transport planes are used for 2 things. One is providing air supply. The other is paratroopers, neither of which I care about in this game. So I'm going to click this trash can icon. It doesn't delete the planes. Those planes will go into my stockpile of transport planes. It does return the crew, the air crew, managing or using those planes back into the stockpile of available manpower. So I'm going to delete that. Boom. Don't need them. I'm also going to tell my naval bombers, don't go to Berlin. Stay there. So if you were, if in managing my air wings, my supply planes, my transport planes, I don't want them. I don't need them. I don't care about them. Naval bombers, stay in your airfield right on the coast because I'm going to use you there. The rest of the planes go to Berlin. On the 3rd of January, I'm going to finish managing my air wings. But for right now, F1, F2, F3 are done. Have I managed my research? Yes, my research has been managed. I've got 4 slots, all 4 are assigned. Have I managed my construction? That's this icon right here. Yes, I've got a queue of items to build. Fantastic. Have I fully managed my production? I have not. Yes, I have manipulated my military factories for production. Yes, I've queued up new construction military factories, but what I haven't played with is, as I scroll down, dockyards. As part of the same queue for production, you have dockyards, a different icon here. And if you look up here, I have a total of 10 dockyards. One of the things I did with my Navy when I managed it is I configured them to allow them to repair. Well, if I click on this repair queue icon right here, currently I have up to three of my 10 dockyards dedicated to repair. I'm going to hold the shift key down, click on the plus. I want all 10 to potentially repair if ships get damaged. I want to stop building, focus on repairing so those ships can get back into the fight. So I've changed it from 3 to 10. That's one thing I've done. Let's continue managing. So if I wanted to add ships to the list of what's being built, I simply click on that icon. We're not going to add yet. So I'm going to click it again and that window disappears. However, I do want my ships built as fast as possible. Currently, there is one dockyard assigned to building this, and it will take until May of 36 before the ship is completed. I'd rather have 5, the max number assigned to it. However, you'll notice that 4 of the 5 are grayed out. Why? Because I already have all 10 dockyards assigned, and what I've done is I've queued up when a dockyard becomes available, assign here. When a dockyard becomes available, assign here. One way to free up dockyards is to um, build more. Another way to free up dockyards is to Another way to fill up dockyards is to complete construction. So if this ship on the 5th of May is completed, that dockyard can't be assigned here anymore because this ship will disappear from the queue, and that dockyard could be assigned here. So let's give this one 5, and this one 5, and this one 5, and this one, because it's a destroyer, can have 10 dockyards assigned, and this one's a destroyer, 10 dockyards. This one, I'm only going to give 5, and I'll explain here in just a moment what's going on. So I want my battleships to go to the bottom. You're going to go to the bottom. Those are the battleships. They're going to stay at the bottom of the queue. And up above, you can see I've got a cruiser and a cruiser, then 3 destroyers. I only want these to finish, and I don't want any more cruisers built. I want this destroyer, this one, not 4. I want this one destroyer to finish, and then I don't want it in the queue anymore. So I'm going to reduce the number down to 1. Build 1, then disappear from the queue. Rinse and repeat on this one. Take it down to 1. However, on this one, which I assigned 5 dockyards to, I'm going to take it below 1 and actually switches to an infinity symbol. When this ship is built, build another just like it, and another and another. I don't need that for 3 destroyers to be built consecutively um, in parallel. I don't want 3 queued destroyers always being built. I want to build what is currently, and that's represented by this red bar, that are partially built. I want finish the partially built ones, but don't build any more of them. Finish this partially built destroyer, then keep building. That's what that infinity symbol is. Down below, I want an infinite number, and in this situation, of 2 battleships always being built. I want 2 to be built into infinity. I need to pump out battleships, and I need to pump out as many as I can. So that's what I'm doing with all of the ships that have a blue background. The ships up here that have a brownish hued background, they're considered out of date. And I've got 6 out of date queued build orders. I don't want any of them. I don't care how close they are to being completed. I don't want them. So I'm going to click on the trash can icon, hit enter, and it deletes. Notice I'm freeing up dockyards when I do this. Now look at the first blue one. Every time I do this, it backfills with the naval dockyard. So now this one's going to be completed on the 26th of January. Perfect for my timeline. Then this one with only 3 dockyards assigned to it will be done in February. This one doesn't have any assigned, but um, if we assume that uh, uh, queued up ships can be built quite rapidly once they get dockyards, you're going to find that these will get built or completed ridiculously fast as well. This one will be freed up, 5 dockyards become available, 2 here, 3 here. Then this one, its time to completion will be even faster than the 25th of February 19 next year, 37. So We don't have to worry about that. It'll be completed in 36. Then I'll have dockyards for here and here and here. And eventually we will have dockyards only assigned out here. And the reason I say only assigned out here, we only have 10 currently. And of the 10, this would take up 5 for an infinite build. This would take up 5 for an infinite build. So I'm going to want more dockyards. I'm going to want more than 10. I'm going to want 15 or more for all of these to build simultaneously. That will be addressed coming up as well. So, in my opinion, to succeed in a plan, um, you spend a lot of time preparing and fleshing out your plan. After you've prepared and fleshed out your plan, executing it is usually fairly painless because you've done your best in accounting for anomalies. So that's what we're doing here is we're trying to flesh out all of my needs that are coming up. I've got my planning phase completed. Let's review. Research, done. Construction, done. Production, for real this time, it's done. My production queues are all assigned. Um, One problem I foresee up here is look at my resources. I don't have rubber. When you build equipment and you do not have enough resources to build it, there's a penalty. For my trucks, which require rubber, there's a penalty, so it'll be built slower. I don't want that. My planes, built slower. My other plane, built slower. I don't want this. I don't want this pain point. So I'm going to click right here on rubber. It opens up a trade window. It's available right here from this icon if you want to go there directly. But it does pick rubber as the resource I'm currently trying to trade for. I'm going to trade with Siam. I'm going to click send. And look, I give up one civilian factory, but I get, what do I get? I get 8 rubber. So when I click OK, you can see that Siam will be providing me rubber. This column right here, depending on who you trade with, there may be a land route which doesn't require sea convoys, or you may require that you cross the ocean to get that resource delivered to you. If I were trading with Brazil, Brazil does have enough to give me 8 rubber, but it would cost me 5 convoys to get it. Argentina, I could trade with Argentina, but that's 8 convoys and I'd only get 3 rubber. If I wanted to trade with the Philippines, I could only get 1 rubber, but it would cost me 11 convoys. Always pay attention to this column when you're trading. The reason you pay attention to it is you don't have to worry about convoys at all if you have a land route. And it'll just simply show this dash or this hyphen up here. No convoys required. So from British Raj, I could get rubber. I could get rubber from France. There are a variety of places that I could source rubber from. I've chosen Siam because Siam is a country I won't be fighting against. So I don't care if they have an additional civilian factory to assist in their construction on their end. I'm going to click this icon right here, and you can see I have 34 civilian factories. Of the 34 civilian factories, I'm giving up 8 civilian factories to consumer goods. I'm also giving up 1 additional factory because of trade. That's the trade with Siam to get rubber. So I lose 9 of my 34. What do I have left? I've got 25 left. That's where this number comes from, 15 out of 15 and 10 out of 15. You can maximize your construction by having 15 civilian factories to every item in the queue. Well, I can only do that on the first one. The second one, I only have 10 civilian factories. So it will take longer to build infrastructure here, 64 days, than if I had 15 factories, 43 days. So as this completes, those 15 factories, just like in equipment manufacturing, just begin, the items disappear from the queue, items move up in the queue. The top item in the queue always gets the most available factories. If you have more than 15, it flows down to the next. If you have more than 15, the next, the next, the next, next. So if I had 100 factories available to me, and let me even back up. If I had 60 factories, that's more evenly divisible by 15. If I had 60 factories available to me, that's not this number. That's the number of factories here minus the factory deductions I have to face here. But if I had 60 available, I could have 15 out of 15 here, the second, the third, and the fourth. So I could have 4 simultaneous build queues running for construction. Again, we're doing an overview just to give you some insight into the game as well as just playing as Germany. So, construction is done. Production is done. I'm in great shape here. I've already done my F1, 2, and 3. So I think we're ready to unpause the game. I do want to speed up the game. We're currently on speed 1. I want to go to speed 5. I'm going to hit my space bar, and this will change to that play symbol, that red, green triangle. I'm going to pause on the 3rd of January. The reason I'm pausing right away, let me hit my F3 key. What has already taken place? These airplanes have rolled into Berlin or flown into Berlin just as I was asking them. And one of the things I said I would fix is I'd fix my deficit. I'm missing 220, 220, and I'm going to fix that. How I'm going to fix it is I'm going to select all the air wings in Berlin, and I'm going to click on this icon right here, which is merge. What that does is it takes all of your fighter air wings and tries to build air wings consisting of 100 planes each. It's going to rinse and repeat that for all of my medium bomber air wings. All of them will merge up and it will show 100, 100, and it will always backfill to 100, deleting the air wings with insufficient planes. So these 80 will move up here, and I'll get 20 here, 60 here. That air wing will disappear completely. And this one will also disappear. I'll end up with 5 medium bomber air wings, just like I will end up with only 3 fighter wings. So let's go ahead and click the button. Let's stop talking about it, watch it in action. There we go. I only have 280 planes, or fighters. 280 fighters can fill 2 full air wings and 1 with 80. Boom. I have 480 bombers. So 4 full, 1 with 80. I only have 80 close air support. So I've got 1 air wing of 80. Those are the merging. That's the merging process of air wings. Now, I have merged them. I want to give them an order similar to what I've given my fleets, which is shift click, train until you get to level 3. You can see that's the active order. It's got the little red circle above it, which means train to level 3, then stop. I'm going to hit my F1 key. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Once this tank gets down here, let's look at my infantry. They're all level 3, but my tanks are not. So I'm going to wait for this tank to get down here. Usually it's around 6th, 7th, maybe the 8th of January. And once it's on the ground, boom, my tanks are going to train right here. Shift click, get the little red circle. That's how you can tell. If I simply click, it means train into infinity. It does begin to animate. I don't want it to train into infinity. I only want it to train until they're level 3, then stop training. One of the attributes of your equipment is reliability. It applies to planes, it applies to infantry equipment, it applies to artillery. It's reliability. And training does put a risk to your equipment that it could break. So one of the reasons I don't train into infinity is I would just continually throw away equipment in training. I have a problem with tanks currently. I'm short 712 tanks. So yes, I want them to train, but I don't want them to overtrain and continually to break more tanks. I need them level 3, but I don't need to throw away tanks. So that's why it's train until you're level 3, then stop. Support equipment, I also have a deficit there. Fighters, one of the things I said I'd do is I'd reduce this. I have. It used to be 220. Now it's 19. Well, how did it get to 19? Well, merging got rid of 200 of the deficit. I'm still short 20, but production built a plane, and that plane was auto-assigned to backfill the missing 20 from the total of 300. So that's why it's 19 right now. But your bombers, it says you're missing 21. Well, I would venture to say that one of the bombers, talking about reliability, broke. And now instead of having 220, emerging, getting rid of 200 of the deficit, but exercising, training, created an additional one medium bomber being damaged. Can't be repaired. It's trash at this point, and I have to replace, instead of 20, I have to replace 21. Training does impact your airframes, your airplanes themselves. Um, so, one of the others, I forgot to, let's hit F3 and let's take care of it right now. We also want our naval bombers to train. Oh, I didn't do it right. I want to see that little symbol. There we go. Um, I want them to train until they get to level 3. I realize that I'm not building naval bombers, the airplanes themselves. So this number can only drop, it can't increase at this point. Whereas all of the fighters, close air support, and medium bombers are being built. So these numbers will all reach their max capacity. Eventually I'll end up with 100 here, 300 here, and 500 here. So enough of that. It is January 7th. I've got training set up for F1. I've got training set up for F3. And before I unpaused, I had training set up for F2, which is my Navy. Now I'm going to unpause and I'm going to pay attention to this number right here. At 50, or on January 22nd, I will be at 51. And if you remember some of the items I talked about is we want to address resource issues for Germany. Dutch East Indies, they've got resources that Germany needs. So I'll be justifying a war goal now that it's the 22nd of January on the Dutch East Indies, not the Netherlands, Dutch East Indies. And I'll show you why not the Netherlands in just a moment. So if I choose to justify in a conquer scenario, Sumatra, pay attention to this number right here. That will generate 2% world tension. I'm going to go ahead and send that. Boom, it's out. I did lose 50 political power by doing that, but if I were to do that with the Netherlands, I don't have the political power to do it. Now, I'm won't even let me pick it. I'll show you in just a moment. Now that I've picked or triggered the justification against Dutch East Indies, now I'm going to pick my national focus. These are my first 3. How many naval dockyards does Germany start with? 10? Well, we can add 3. That'll put them at 13. Then we'll be able to add 2 more. That'll put them at 15. Then we can add 4 more. Germany's going to have 19 dockyards in 140 days. Actually, a little bit less. This is a 35-day focus. When I click start, let's look up here. I already have 10 days. I didn't pick a focus, so how do I already have 10 days? If you pick a national focus, immediately following another national focus, you just start accruing time on that new national focus. But if you do not pick a national focus, you can build up a acute amount of national focus preparation. The max number of days you can queue up is 10 for a national focus. So it is the 22nd of January. We're 22 days into the game. I don't get 22 days of credit for a national focus. I can only get 10 days of credit for a national focus. So that's where that 10 comes from. Queued up national focus preparation. So in 25 more days, I'm going to get 3 dockyards. Look at my political power. There is some misrepresentation I've seen on various videos on YouTube that if you justify a war goal, and when you choose to justify a war goal, if for some reason or another your political power goes negative, your justification stops. This is not true. How I can demonstrate that is I'm going to right click on Germany. And what you see right here is this is the justification against the Dutch East Indies. Germany versus the Dutch East Indies. I'm going to unpause the game. I'm going to let it go until the 23rd. We're on the 23rd of January. This didn't disappear. And progress, 1 out of 250 days down. And you can also see that this completes, as I stated previously, on the 29th of September 1936. That's when I'm going to declare war on the Dutch. This will not disappear. You do have to backfill your negative political power before you have positive political power, but it doesn't make the justification or doesn't end or stop or cancel the justification. It still proceeds. Another critical date I'm waiting for is the 26th of January. I'm going to be pausing on the 26th. The reason I'm pausing on the 26th is when I hit F2, I've built my first ship. My first ship is completed. Fantastic. What you're going to see initially is preference, not functionality. I like to change the Navy icon to this. I like to change the color to green. Then I'm going to change the fleet icon to this and say OK. Personal preference right there. Doesn't make the Navy work any better or any worse. But I will be telling that Navy to train. This is not a shift click. This is just a click. Train into infinity. However, I don't want them to train in the sea zone they're currently located in, which is here. I want them to train out of this naval base. And when they move to that naval base, they'll be training in this sea zone. You can see the icon has already moved over. Fantastic. I also want ships in that training fleet to be able to repair. So let's address that as well. Let's also give that training fleet an admiral. There. So I've got 3 navies out here. 1 navy for surface vessels that will see combat, 1 navy for submarine vessels that will see combat, and 1 navy currently out here with 1 fleet that will see training only functions. That is all they're going to do. Because that's all they're going to do, I'm going to change a little bit of my settings out here for my ships. When you complete, don't auto deploy. When you complete, this is a surface ship, auto assign to the training fleet. Rinse and repeat. Destroyer, auto assign. Destroyer, auto assign. All of my surface ships will auto assign to the training fleet for surface ships. So when they deploy, doesn't matter which port they deploy out of, they'll move up here and they will join that fleet right there. Surface ships join the surface ship training fleet. So I'm going to unpause briefly until this moves up above 8. There we go. We're at 8. Dockyard assignments. 9 out of 10 are building. 1 is repairing. That's fine. That's fine. I want it to automatically switch to repair so that I don't have to worry about ships not being at full strength if they get forced into combat, or staying in combat when they are damaged significantly. I want them to go repair rather than get sunk. So that's my preference. But I'm going to click here. The reason I'm clicking here is I have 8 naval experience. I do want to add submarines to the list of ships I'm going to be building, but I don't like the default submarine. The default submarine has a level 1 engine. I want level 2 engines. The default submarine has a single set of torpedoes. I don't want that. I want 2 sets of torpedoes. So now it can cause more damage. It has higher torpedo attack. It has lower visibility. It does use more fuel. That's fine. Theoretically, it's going slower. Why is it going slower? Because I added more torpedoes. I'm fine with the speed as is. But it does cost me 8 naval experience to make that change to the design. Great, save the change. I have a new submarine at the top. That submarine is optimal. Let's go ahead and choose to build that submarine, and we'll give them 5 dockyards. I am not going to change this because I don't want subs to join the surface training fleet. I will have their own submarine training fleet at some point. Not in a rush to do it right now. I'm not even building them right now. We're just configuring things for future, or automation for future management. Just trying to streamline how the Navy's being managed here. So I'm going to hit F1. That's my preferred initial view. And I have taken care of everything I need to take care of through the 27th of January. We're in great shape. Let's unpause. Now we're just killing time. In particular, we're killing time for this to complete. So we already had 10 days queued up. It's now 12 days after that. At 35 days, this will complete. And what you're going to see is this number is going to jump from 10 to 13. So here we go. almost done. 33, 34, 35 days. We are done. My next focus, another 35-day national focus. This one only gives me 2 dockyards, but I'm fine with that as well. Let's go back and take a peek in production. What did I say? 13. So now I can fully fill this as, um, excuse me, I can fully fill this with 5 and I can fully fill this with 8 once that repair is done. So I'm going to hit F2. I'm going to see out here, that might be here. No, that's not the one repairing. Might be here. I don't see it there. Oh, this is the one actually repairing. So, depending on the ship that is repairing, some ships repair very fast. Some ships repair more slowly. Um, the larger the ship, the slower it repairs. Battleships are the slowest to repair. Submarines are the fastest to repair. So once this is done, you're going to see that little training icon show up again, and they'll be exercising out here. But right now, getting repaired. Just babysitting it, doing the repair process. Tick tock, tick tock. Come on, wrap it up. Get repaired. There it is. So what are they doing again? They're exercising. And we have another ship that rolled in. Why? Because construction completed and it auto-assigned out here. So let's go back and look at our construction queue for dockyards. Yeah, one of these finished up. Look, this one's going to complete on the 20th of September 1936. It's going to finish in April. This is going to finish, at least one of these will finish before that as well. We're just knocking out our ships, getting stronger. That's all that's occurring here. Now, my second national focus is completed. Looky there. Now I have 15 dockyards. So 5 year, 10 year, or 10 year. Look, even faster completion date. We're in great shape. Then our third national focus. Let's knock out 4 additional dockyards. So we do need a navy to get across the English Channel. And what I'm doing right now doesn't change the pace of Germany's ability to dominate Europe and, if you choose to, the globe. All of these are good. So my first research item is completed. It's range improvements, in particular for my um, Air Force. I cannot do anything about it yet because I don't have enough air experience. Um, I do want to uh, modify this plane. I do want to add extra fuel tanks. That costs me 1. If this only costs me 1, I'll do it, but I think it costs me more. That'll cost me, excuse me, a total of 3. It'll cost me a total of 3, which I don't have air experience to make that change. That's a change I want to make, and I want to start building this version of the BF-109. Can't build it yet. Actually, let's remove that. Let's just build this one. Let's just increase their range initially. Since I do have 1 air experience, let's do it. Save that change and assign this to the build queue. So now the BF-109s that are going to be built will have more range. That'll work for now. But I need to assign that research slot to a new tech to research. This is the tech I want to research. I can't research it yet. If I could pick it right now, it would take 248 days. I've got 5 days left on this one. So I'm just going to click here. 248 days. That's how long it's going to take me to build it. Oh, now it says 47, now 46, now 45, now 44, now 43. Why? Similar to national focuses. If you don't pick one immediately after one completes, you have up to 10 days of queued national focus functionality that you can apply to the next national focus. Research works very similarly, but you can't just do 10 days, you can do 30 days. So because I have queued up 5 days of research, that's why this number dropped by 5 days. When I choose research, you'll see there's already portions of it already researched. This research, which just completed, has 0 days queued up. So if I click on details, I don't get any deduction here. It just takes 169 days. I shouldn't say it's a deduction, but it's cute research being applied. There are multiple people online that will show you how to maximize that, how you leverage that to its fullest. Not really part of my playthrough, so I just wanted to make you aware of it. So we're still killing time. I paused the game. One of the reasons I paused the game was I wanted to take a peek up here at my training. Look here, U-boats. They're all level 3. Now I do have quite a few that need to get repaired. They're already done repairing. So the the submarines are going to sit here idle. They don't have any additional orders. I don't need them. Eventually, once I have 40 submarines, then I'm going to start giving them orders. But for right now, 14 submarines, stay there, just be idle, wait for your next set of orders. And it's going to be a year or two or longer before they get their orders. But they are fully trained. All right. So, looking at the F1 perspective, I'm actually going to switch to F3. Going to take a peek. I haven't paused, but I'm going to take a peek. Looks like we've backfilled all the planes, but we do need to start training again. I'm going to click the merge. Why? Because I want to backfill all of the medium bombers. That takes care of it. Then when I tell them to train, if they don't get damaged, they'll get to 100% and they'll stay perfect at 100% until I'm ready to deploy them and start fighting. So I've got all but one medium bomber air wing fully trained to level 3 with all of its planes. Even though we're at 84 right here and it is less than level 3, I'm not going to trigger it to train right now. I'm going to wait till it gets closer to 100 before I trigger it. All right, my third national focus is done, and my third one finishes basic machine tools. Now I've got to pick factory tech. Concentrated versus dispersed. I always like to use dispersed. That's my preference. And unpause, and we keep going. Well, pause again. I've got 150 political power or more. I should have done it right at 150 to be optimal, but that's okay. I'm going to pick this advisor in particular because he provides a bonus to political power. Right now, I gain 1.43 political power per day. If I pick the advisor, that number bumps 1.73 political power per day. Political power is a currency that you spend, and the more you can accrue, the more you can spend. So, expand dockyards. That completed. That's the last of the dockyard focuses I do. Now, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick Army Innovation. Why? Because I want 10 Army experience. I currently have 0.65. Woohoo! That's nothing. I need really to only get to 5, but 10 is sufficient. You know, a little over is fine, but I need that national focus to complete. I need the 10 Army experience. So we unpause and let's take a pick at our queue. Just like I said, 19 total. One's repairing. I'm going to hit F2. It looks like it's this one because 2 are active, 1 is not. And that same cruiser. Nope, not that same cruiser. It looks like it's a destroyer that's being repaired right now. That's why it's moving so fast compared to otherwise. Um, and I could manually force this to repair. I'm not going to bother. We've got 4 ships total out there. We're in great shape. I'm going to hit F1. Let's take a peek out here. I've got 19 dockyards. Again, that cruiser at the top, the 20th of September is when it completes. Then those 5 can get pushed down for assignments. But I am building my battleships, and I'm building a destroyer, and I'm still wrapping up the final cruiser that I'm building. So we're now on the 16th of July. I've paused the game, finish another research. I'm going to rinse and repeat and continue down the construction 2 path here. We also got a Mayo. This is basically a company that assists in the design and manufacture of. This Mayo is designed to influence. Can it influence cruisers and capital ships, battleships? Yes, but it's really optimally designed to influence submarines. So the decisions I'm making here are for subs, light cruisers, and then finally battleships. But this Mayo I'm only going to use for submarines if I use it at all. So this will disappear. I am short on resources. Why? I only have um, a total of 6 chromium, but I need 10 to build 2 battleships, 5 each. So because I've got um, dockyards assigned to building that second battleship, that's what this is. It's telling me, hey, yeah, I want to build that other battleship, but you don't have enough chromium to effectively build it. So there's a slowness or penalty to the build time for that battleship because we're short on chromium. So it is August 10th. This is a perfect pause. I need to pick another national focus. I will be picking air innovations. While I'm paused, I'm also going to change my orders. Why? We are 30, 45, about 45, 40, almost 50 days before I start combat with the Netherlands. So I'm going to tell my army, go up here, take the front line. That's my infantry army. I'm going to tell my fully trained, but not quite fully equipped. That's what these orange lines represent. I'm missing some of the equipment to be fully equipped. 84%, 83%, 81%. Again, not fully equipped versus the top three, 100% equipped. But I'm going to stop them being assigned to a fallback line. I'm going to control click up here on the red line, and all 6 tanks will move up here. Now, the problem with all of my armies pushing up against here, so I'm going to give you a view that I haven't shown thus far. It's F4. It shows supply. Blue is okay, but as it transitions to more yellow than blue, that tells you you have a lot of supply. But in delivering supply, it's sourced from these orange icons here, which are supply depots. And if you look at various supply depots, this one has 25 supply and only one's being used. This one has 15 supply and 5 is being used. This one has, I want these supply depots to show a bigger number. These two have 20 and 2 are being used. Where does supply come from? All supply comes from the capital, which is Berlin. Berlin can spit out up to 87.6 supply from bases, from civilian factories, from military factories, and from dockyards. That's where that number comes from. However, if the need, which out here is 2 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 4 and 5 and 2, if that need exceeded 87%, the capital could not deliver it. But one of the other limiting factors, and I'm going to hit my construction button up here, is supply is restricted by the level of rail connecting the supply depot. And if I put my mouse over this supply depot, do you see the red line in the background? There. I'm just going to do quick hovers over it. That red line represents the path the trains take to get here. And because that path has at least one level 1 rail, it reduces the potential supply to that depot to level 1. And if you look at the um, uh, verbose view of the mouse over window, it says that it's restricted in 3 places: the rail line between Dortmund and Köln, Hanover and Dortmund, and Magdeburg and Hanover. All of those rail lines are level 1, which reduces its supply to 15. How do you calculate supply? If a supply depot is connected by river or rail, the base depot itself gets 10 supply. If it is river only, you add an additional 5. If it is rail connected, you add the lowest level of rail um, times 5. So we're limited by level 1 rail. 1 times 5 is add 5. So 10 plus 5 gives you 15. If you have level 2 rail connecting that supply depot, and I don't mean level 2 here only, I mean all of the rails connecting it are 2 or more. That bumps this by 5 more. Why? 2 times 5 for the level of rail is 10 plus 10 base gets you 20. The max rail you can define or you can build out is level 5. So 5 times 5 is 25 plus an additional 10 for the supply depot. That would make this 35. That's the max you could get here. But right now, I'm going to add to the queue, build rail lines. And I'm holding the control key in so it puts it at the top of the queue. Build rail here, build rail here, build rail here, and here, and here, and here, and here. This is the longest stretch that has to get built, so I put it at the top. I have to build 4 provinces worth of rail upgrades, so that will take the most amount of time. It will take 11 days to upgrade that level 1 rail in 4 provinces to level 2, 3 provinces to get this one up to 2, 2 provinces to get this one up to 2, then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm putting them at the top of the queue so they get knocked out. And once all these rail lines are built, you'll have level 2 all the way across here. But I want you to notice up here, I don't have level 2 rail. I don't have level 2 rail. I don't have level 2 rail. Well, why is this 20? Look at the red path when I put a mouse over here. It's using level 2 from here to here to here to here to here to here, and then it uses a convoy. If you can avoid using convoys, avoid them. Convoys, when you're in combat, can be attacked by the enemy navy, and you will be losing convoy ships. Just like with trade, avoid convoys. With supply, avoid convoys if you don't have to use them. Because I have sufficiently high naval base here, level 8, I can output 20 or more supply from here. However, because it's level 2 connected, the most supply this naval base can get is 20. So it can output at 20, and this one is a level, what does it say out here? A level 8 naval base, it can receive level 20. That's why that one is at 20. This one receives rail connected level 2. That's why it is 20. But if I had to traverse from here to here, because it's only level 1, this would be 15. So the game automatically picks the most, not the safest, but the most supply it can deliver. It chooses a path based on the most supply it can deliver. If this sea zone or this sea zone was controlled by the British, I wouldn't get 20 supply here. It would constantly try to deliver with convoys 20 supply, but it would fail miserably. So again, avoid convoys. If you can, use rail exclusively. So I'm going to unpause. Again, we've got about 50 days till the war. So as we count down, you're going to see this is going to wrap up construction. And, oh, one of the things I said we want to avoid is we don't want red. We want that transitioning to yellow color. Let's do one more thing to impact supply. This is the motorization priority for all armies reporting to that field marshal. I'm going to click on it once, telling it use trucks to deliver supply, and that will impact these colors out here. I will have more supply because we're more effective. Red is bad. Red means you're short on supply. If you're short on supply, you cannot provide to your troops effectively so that they can fight effectively, and they have reduced capabilities on the front line as they advance. So always try to avoid red or even worse, orange colored supply zones. Another little nugget. So I'm taking care of supply. How am I taking care of it? I'm upgrading the amount of supply at each supply depot by upgrading the rail lines. So we're still moving along here. Only have 3 left to build. Let's hit a 4. I'm going to put my mouse over here again. Notice we're no longer using convoys. Now we're doing rail direct to that location. I've resolved that convoy potential risk. We weren't at war, so it wasn't a risk. But once we go to war, it would be a risk. I don't need the risk. Let's just do it with rails. Rails can get bombed, so those people have played the game for a while. I'm not naive to that. However, it is much easier to repair a rail line than to deal with convoys constantly being sunk. can, avoid convoys. If you can't avoid it, then plan accordingly. But for right now, Germany will have sufficient air force that the bombing risk is practically non-existent when fighting the Netherlands. So we're on the 17th. We're waiting for the 29th. I have built out all of my rail lines. Notice I now have 20 to here, 20 to here, 20 to here. I'm in fantastic shape for my fight. I'm also going to tell my field marshal that his order can be considered active. So all of the armies, the Green Army, which is assigned to that field marshal order, they're allowed to move forward once we declare war. I'm going to enhance my field marshal, giving all of the armies that are under the field marshal an additional capability. That additional capability is recovery rate. So as you start to fight, your stamina goes down. As you come out of a battle, that green line on a division will restore itself back to full strength faster. That's what charismatic does for your divisions. Offensive doctrine reduces the amount of loss of organization when you move. That's also a good thing. It also helps you attack, +1 to attack. Again, I'm trying to be as effective as possible. We're 12 days out from starting the war. I'm going to hit F3. Still haven't replaced all my planes, but I'm going to trigger. Let's go ahead and train, even though we're still short a few. 20th. Still going. Let's get that up. Almost there. There. I'm not going to train anymore. I'm going to take all of my air wings. I'm going to now give them military orders, not training orders. Fighters, dominate the air. Close air support the troops. And medium bombers support the troops. And medium bombers, you can do strategic bombing. And all of those air wings are assigned to the infantry army. Well, because I didn't really want all of them, I'm going to take one wing of fighters, and the only wing of close air support, and I'll assign them to my tanks. Because I'm not really going to use a frontline order for my tanks, I'm going to click on the general, I'm going to click on the delete order, I'm going to click right here. I don't need a frontline order for my tanks, I'm not going to use it. I will use my frontline order for my army, kind of, sort of, but you'll get more insight into that on the 29th of September. We're right around the corner. So I'm going to unpause. I'm going to pause once again right here because I want to assign my research slot. And I'm going to assign research for the improved machine tools. And, oh, I'm a little delayed, but I'm going to go ahead and choose my silent workhorse. A little slow in activating that, but that's okay. I've got 60 political power left. I'll wait till it gets to 100 before I do my next order. So we're sitting pretty. I'm going to get to about on the 28th. Nope, not quite there. I paused a little early. There, pause about that time on the 28th because I want to slow game time down. The next time I'm going to pause is at 1 a.m. on the 29th. There we are, 1 a.m. on the 29th. I paused. Look at the notification. You can declare war on the Dutch East Indies. That's what this icon is for. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Declare war. I'm going to double click on my tank icon right here. Jumps us back to where the tanks are. And we are ready to attack. But I'm going to be a little precise. I'm going to do some micromanagement of my troops. These three up here, I want to have them push here and then push down to The Hague. These five, I'm going to have push here, push through Amsterdam, and then Rotterdam. These six, I'm going to have them, I want you to go here, then here, and then Amsterdam and The Hague. These six, help the tanks get to here, then cross the river and go to Rotterdam. These four right here, I want them to go here. That's not quite where I want you to go. I'm going to have you go here, here, and then follow the tanks up here. I haven't given the tanks the order yet, but that's one of the orders they're going to get. But instead, actually, I want half of them or two of them to go here, and then take that location. That location always has one troop, or excuse me, one division of the Netherlands inside of it. As my tanks move through here, I need to take that province. Now, tank orders, you're going to go here, and then you're going to push up here. Oh, no, oh, let's actually go here and then push there. I don't want them to go through there. I'm going to have these 3 tanks go here, The Hague, and then to Rotterdam. So that's all my orders. When I unpause, the fighting will actually commence. Uh, I do have one nugget up here I need to address. It's having to do with infantry equipment. So let's enhance my infantry equipment Mayo and get it off my list of things to do. So let's go ahead and unpause. Green bubbles are what you want to see when you're fighting. It means you're winning and you want to see that number climb to 100. So once it actually goes to 100 above 99, that's the defeat of that division or set of divisions, and you can push into that territory. So that's what we're watching here. Here we are. Wonderful. Got another green bubble. There we're up. One has fallen. Another about to fall. There we go. Tanks are pushing. Looking good. Actually, that, yeah, we'll keep it good. Keep it moving. Looking fantastic. So you, one of the two, since the division was defeated, one of the two I'm going to actually send up here right away and into Rotterdam just to strengthen my attack on Rotterdam. There we are. Green bubble. Fantastic. Amsterdam is holding much better than it normally does, but it has fallen. The Hague should fall quickly now as well. And Rotterdam needs to fall. 94. Actually, you guys can go up there now. There we go. The Netherlands have fallen. And because the Netherlands fell, that also includes all of its puppet / satellite states. So the Dutch East Indies, who I originally declared war on, have also capitulated. So this is the Treaty of Amsterdam, post-war conference. Germany wants Suriname for aluminum, Curacao for oil. Germany wants Kalimantan, Java, Lesser Sunda Islands, and Sumatra for oil, aluminum, and rubber. Germany also demands that we give up fleets. I will take the navies of both countries, and I will submit demands, and that's all I want. I don't want the European holdings. I also don't want these remaining territories from the Dutch East Indies. They're mostly non-productive. I don't want them. Japan, based on the historical timeline, will eventually want to declare war on Indonesia / the Dutch East Indies. If I take all of this territory, that will turn out to be Japan declaring war on Germany. So this is a carrot I leave out there for Japan. I could use these additional territories just to control them, but again, I leave them for Japan to be a distraction for Japan. So, because I've taken what I want, what I care about, I'm going to go ahead and confirm and exit. I'm going to pause right away. The reason I'm pausing is let's take a peek at our trade. We now have a surplus of oil, surplus of rubber, and we also got more aluminum. I no longer need to trade for rubber. That's why this is currently yellow. It tells you you are trading for a resource you don't need to trade for. So let's set that back to 0 factories, no rubber. Say OK. And now it's no longer yellow. I don't need to trade for something I don't need. Germany is knocking things out of the park thus far. So where do I go from here? My green army, return to your fallback line. My red army, return to your fallback line. F3. My air force, not counting the naval bombers, but all the other air wings. Perma-train or permanently exercise. This was not a shift click. This is just a regular click. And go to Berlin. What it does is it disables or cancels all of their orders by doing this. I can then reconsolidate and redivide as needed. So once all those air wings get to Berlin, almost there, boom, I will then tell them to stop exercising. I will also do a merge if necessary. Backfills, fantastic. Backfills everywhere except for where they're currently can't be backfilled. Looking good. And now I'm going to do, actually, they're already all trained. Fantastic. I'm not even going to tell them to exercise. My medium bombers do need 2 additional planes built. That's okay. I'm going to send them out there. I'm going to separate my air wings by type. So I'm going to leave fighters here, CAS here, bombers here. It'll help me manage them more easily later. But that's a preference thing. It's not required for the game. It just helps me out. I still have a problem with tungsten. I don't have any available, so I can't grow my production of equipment that needs tungsten. I'm still short on chromium. I don't want to delay my battleship production. I want to take care of that. So, air innovation almost done. The next national focus I actively chase is going to get me those 2 resources. It's October 7th. The war is over. Let's hit F2. Dutch East Indies built a destroyer. Wonderful. Let's merge it into the other fleet. And this fleet has both subs and destroyers. I'm going to split them up. I'm going to pull my subs out. I'm going to put my subs next to them. And this should just be surface ships. And because I already have a surface ship training fleet, I'm going to reassign them all to that training fleet. I do not have a submarine training fleet as of yet. I will. I don't have one yet. Looking good. Let's go ahead and unpause. Yeah, go ahead and unpause. Let's bump the speed back up to 5. And we're waiting for this to complete. So in 70 days from now, I will complete this national focus, but it's not available. I have to do the national focus above it first, but do I really? Germany has already been to war. Because Germany has already been to war, you can bypass that focus. So now I can choose this focus, which is the one I really wanted to execute on. I'm also going to bump back up here. I'm going to clean up my divisions. The reason I'm clicking on this little green dot icon is because I'm not going to use those divisions. I do need to create a new division. So I'm going to be creating an empty division. I'm going to assign it 1 infantry battalion. That does cost me 5 army experience to do this. I do want to give it a new name though. I don't want to call it new division. I'm going to call it Finzig. It's the German word for tiny. Let's save that. Say okay. Let's train divisions based on that template. I'm going to train 96 of them. There's 96. Go ahead and say train. 1 run of 96 tiny divisions. When you click on this icon, you can pick a specific province you want them to deploy to when training is completed. I'm actually going to babysit this at 20% training. Currently at 0 out of 100, but at 20%, you can click this button or these buttons. This one is all units. This one is a specific unit. I'm going to deploy them because I missed a critical time. It's not that critical, but I do want to get them spit out as quickly as possible. So again, I'm waiting for this to get to 20. Once it gets to 20, I'm going to deploy all 96 divisions. 11, moving up. Let's hurry up and get to 20. We're close. We're close. 18, 19, and 20. Now that we're at 20, I'm going to click this button right here. Boom. I have 96 divisions deployed. And of the 96 divisions, I will click right here. I could have also shift clicked up here. And I'm going to give them assignments. You're now in an army. What's the max number of units or divisions a general can manage? It's 24 by default. So let's cut 96 in half. When I cut 96 in half, I end up with 48. Let's cut 48 in half. What do I end up with? 24. That's the magic number I was looking for. So I've got 4 armies of 24, mostly worthless divisions. But let's get generals assigned to them. So let's pick the first one, grab a general, and I want generals with helmets. Why? Because they're built to be infantry leaders. I want generals or infantry leader generals on top of infantry armies. You'll note that my second one did not have a helmet, but he also had nothing, meaning he can become an infantry general fairly easily. So I've got 4 generals assigned to 4 new armies. The armies are still mostly worthless, but I'm going to take my armor, my Panzer army, and unassign it from my field marshal. I will take all 4. I'm using the shift button. I'm holding the shift button down to click on them so all 4 are selected. Then I'm going to right click down here. Now I've got 5 infantry armies assigned to a field marshal. How many generals can this field marshal oversee? Well, you can kind of tell by the numbers. 5 of 5. So we're in great shape there. We've got a good field marshal, and we've got good generals overseeing the infantry, but their colors are off. Why? As I start drawing lines for those armies, giving them orders, there will be some confusion. I'm not going to do that at first. I'm just going to use their default colors, and hopefully you'll see why I like to change the colors. I'm going to have a frontline order for this army right there. I'm going to have a frontline order for this army right here and right here. And I'm going to have a frontline order for this army right here. And I'm going to get rid of the order for that army. Then I'm going to do a field marshal order right here. Actually, all the colors are different. They are visibly different. I just don't like this being close to red. The reason I don't like that being close to red is it's close to this color here. It's hard to distinguish the two. And I don't want to have a difficult time distinguishing any of my colors. So, that second army, guess what? Your color's going to change and you're going to be yellow. And yellow is definitely different than red. Looking good there. I'm going to take this army, which does appear orangish, but yet I might confuse that color and not realize it's tied to that army. So I'm going to change its color, and I'm going to change it to the default orange, but then it changes the order colors to something close to red. I don't like that, so I'm going to shift the color of orange a little bit until it shows up as orange. That helps me distinguish it. I'm going to take this army, give it this magenta color, and this army, I'm going to give it this blue color. Now, all of my lines match, for the most part, the color assigned to the icon, and they don't look close to each other on the map. Now, all of this is personal preference. It makes things easier for me to spot armies and associate which armies are associated with which orders. It just makes my life easier. It doesn't make the game any easier or any harder or any more winnable or losable. It's all a preference thing that I've done right there. So, I've made those decisions. I've pumped out the various armies and given them roles or assignments, orders. However, this second army is based off the Vinzig template. I want it to change and be off of the infantry template. And I'm being advised, hey, you got in green plenty of equipment or manpower to backfill it, except you're short on some infantry equipment. I'm still going to switch it early. The reason I'm switching it early is if we look up here, Army, my Army size is about 360,000 troops. I need to get above 500,000 in order to choose my next national focus. Not the one I've got going right now, my next one. What I've got going right now is 19 days into the national focus, another 50 days to go. I'm hoping that in 50 days, you're going to see that total Army count bump up to something above 500,000. That is required for me to pick the Anschluss national focus. That's the one I want to pick next. So at 428, 450, two more bumps, and I should be about 500,000. 474, one more bump, put me above 500,000. 497, so close. Got to pick a new research item. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out a little bit early this fuel refining tech. And the next one I'm going to knock out is going to be a little bit early this dispersed industry tech. There we go. So I've completed 2 levels of factory tech, or excuse me, 1 level of factory tech. I'm on my next level of factory tech. Factory tech, whenever it's completed, you get a 20% bonus to the number of build slots you have in that province. So I'm going to go to construction while I'm here. Notice I can add to civilian factory and military factory count. Also, two states I've already completed construction in, they have more spaces, more slots to build in. So I'm going to knock those out. I also have 182 political power. I need to spend some. Because I'm about to start building more and more military factories. Actually, I just picked, I'm going to scratch this. I'm still going to do my war industrialist. He builds factories faster. Next one I'm going to pick is either going to be faster research to industry techs, or it's going to be going from partial to um, war economy. Reason being is this dedicates more factories to actual civilian factories to construction. So we're about to wrap this up. Let's pay attention. I still have a tungsten problem and a chromium problem. Let's wait for it to complete. There we go. I no longer have a tungsten and chromium problem. I also want to do Anschluss. This is going to give me a little bit of resources, but mostly it's going to give me 9 divisions. It's going to give me more civilian and more military factories. So let's choose Anschluss. When Austria becomes part of Germany, this order will disappear because it's no longer a frontline order next to a country that doesn't exist. And because this order will disappear, all 24 troops will get reassigned to this pre-staged order. Just more automation that I'm trying to address in my playthrough. Let's hit F2. Oh, I have built my submarines. My first couple submarines. Let's move them up. They automatically switch colors to the navy color, but I do want to change their icon to a submarine icon. And I also want to allow them to repair. I'm also going to tell them to train into infinity, but I don't want them to train here. I want to train out of this naval base, meaning they will train up here. What are these? These are all subs. Let's assign them to the training fleet. All right. One last thing. Now that I've got my training fleet set up, let's tell new subs. Any new sub that is built, join the training fleet. Automatically deploy. These 3 auto deploy to the surface training fleet. Submarines will auto deploy to the submarine training fleet. More automation, simplification of managing your resources as you play the game. So now I don't have to babysit them. And when I say I don't have to babysit, I don't have to babysit getting them to train. I still have to come out here periodically and say, hey, you guys, you look like you're all trained up. Wonderful. Why don't you guys go ahead and join now that you're trained, join the fighting fleet. These guys were temp training. Let's also put them into the Strike Force fleet. So now I have 37 ships that are part of Strike Force. And my naval dominance is moving up. As the ships join the Strike Force fleet, I now have 43, almost 4,400 power or naval power being exuded out here in those 3 sea zones. Hey, I've got some more that have completed training. I'm just going to take 3 just so I get to an even 40 out there. But you will see a bump. We're now at 4440. Destroyers add some minimal amount of supremacy, naval dominance, but not a lot. So we're at January of 37, and we've got 40 days, 42 days left to take over Austria. And we have no resource constraints. Everything is being built optimally. I've got plenty of chromium for my current needs. I have plenty of tungsten for my current needs. I've got an entire game's worth of rubber needs fulfilled. I have plenty of aluminum currently and plenty of oil currently based on demand. So Anschluss is not completed. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the ability for me to research construction tech, construction tech, industrial tech, I should say. And this will be the next one. I can't do it right now because it requires 50 or higher war support. I'm only at 40 something. That will be addressed here shortly. So how many days left? 10 days left. It's still counting through that national focus. Almost there. Let's pause, pick another item to research. Knock those out. That looks good. Let's go ahead and backtrack and cover the artillery tech. And let's also do the anti-tank tech. Anschluss is done. That's not gray yet. You need one more event pop up, which will pop up here momentarily. Let's pick our next national focus while we are paused. I'm going to do the 4-year plan, autarky, work down this side of the tree and get my extra research slot. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 70-day focuses. 5 times 70 is 350. We're 15 days short of an entire year worth of predefined national focuses. That's what I want to do next. This is the event pop-up I was telling you about. Austria is now mine. I have excess military factories. Why? Because that's part of the annexation of Austria. I got all their military factories and got all their civilian factories. So how many extra do I have? Looks like I've got 5 extra. And with 5 extra, I'm going to rearrange my order out here. I'm going to go ahead and put guns back up. I want to, with 5, I'm going to do you. I'm going to backfill to 5 for trucks. I'm going to get 4 or 5 out here for air fighters, and 2 of 5. I already had 2, but I'm going to backfill 3 additional for the close air support. That puts me in a pretty good place. One of the things I said is I got 9 divisions. I did a shift click here to select all of them, and then I'm going to right click up here on the red, the tank army, to have them join. They're not tank divisions, or are they? Yes, they are. So I have a total of, instead of 6, I have 15 tank divisions to work with. Am I short on equipment? Yeah, I'm missing just shy of 2,000 additional light tanks. That's okay. I don't care about Yugoslavia. I always say their opinion is irrelevant. If they join the Axis, wonderful. If they join the Allies, wonderful. I could care less. They don't help or degrade my ability to defeat the Allies. Just a little cosmetic work here. When Austria joined, I wasn't covering the former Austrian portion of the border of Czechoslovakia. So I extended the Blue Army to cover the entire border of Czechoslovakia that borders Germany. So that was just cosmetic. Again, doesn't make it work, not work. Something I haven't done, but still need to do, is when I deployed those divisions early, they weren't level 3. They weren't even level 2. They were partially level 1. So I'm going to pick the field marshal here. Then I'm going to do a shift click. Any army that's not at level 3, start training. Green's already there. Yellow, definitely not. Orange, no. Pink, no. Or magenta, no. And blue, no. So those armies need to train. Why put armies into combat under exercised or under trained? It's foolish to do so. So because I'm not at combat, this is the perfect opportunity to train. So April of 37, Germany has grown. Germany's population was around 60 million at the start. It's now at 73. Why? Austria is now part of Germany. Their core population is German core population. That's why that number has bumped. We can get as high as about 80, 81 million as fascist Germany. How can we do that? Well, Sudetenland will become a core part of Germany, and Sudetenland will contribute almost 3 million population to German population, or to Germany's population. You also get this territory, East Sudetenland. That gives you almost 1 million troops. When we defeat Poland, oh, we don't need Denmark, so we can ignore that. When we defeat Poland, this state here becomes part of Germany. About 750,000. Danzig becomes part of Germany. Just a little more, a third of 1 million right there. So again, about a little more than 1 million joined the German state as um, members of the German population. You also will get Memel, not much, 153 million, but these territories were part of Germany pre-World War I. They were taken from Germany as part of the settlement. Well, this was also taken, and if I recall correctly, Katowice was also taken. I wish those became core states in Germany, but they don't. Um, they stay core states of Poland, but enough of that. Germany is going to grow, and I've got another mile to address. These red ones improve reliability. I want reliability bumped up first. These improve fighting. I then do the fighting ones after that. And then this one is for naval work. I don't care about naval, so it's the last one, but it is still available without conflicting with others. All right, Japan is going to attack China, declare war on China shortly. World tension is currently 23%. When they declare war, it's going to move up. One of the things I emphasized previously is world tension. I do not want world tension to be at 25% or higher when I start justifying against Poland. I need it to be below 25%. When Japan declares war, it will be above 25%, so that's going to delay my ability to declare war on Poland. Not terribly delay it, but it will delay it. So, completed a national focus. Let's continue down the national focus as I stated previously. We want to get the additional research slot, and 2 of those national focuses give us a total of 12 additional civilian factories. So we want them. All right, we've got a good amount of civilian factories, more than we had previously. And because we've just completed another factory tech, got to pick a new tech, and then we're going to go back to construction. Let's start that research. Good. Now that we're back in construction, I got 20% more slots. So I get to increase the number of factories I'm building in those states. This is all fantastic news for us. So one of the things I forgot to do previously, but Anschluss did complete, we are above 50%. I'm going to switch to war economy. And when you switch to war economy, fewer factories, civilian factories, become dedicated to consumer goods, so they become available to actual construction. This was, I think, 1 or 3 previously. Now that I switched to war economy, we're at 7. So we have more civilian factories to build things with. That's why I switch. Excuse me. My apologies. So we are humming along. It's June of 37. In less than 2 years, Poland will be ours. And arguably, at our discretion, we can start a war with the Allies and defeat them as well. But let's add some more items to the queue. I want to build more military factories, but in order to build military factories, the first thing I knock out is the infrastructure. Then I build mills. So I'm just queuing up infrastructure followed by mills out here. We have more political power. I'm going to spend some by adding an additional build slot to Mosaland. So if I come back out here to construction, Mosaland has an additional build slot. Let's fill it with a military factory. Every 30 days or every month, if you have one or more state that has 100% infrastructure already built, level 5 infrastructure already built, every 30 days you'll be offered an opportunity to expand one time only the number of building slots by one to that state. So I'm going to hit F5 so we can see the names. This is the one we augmented. It has already received its one time, one additional build slide augmentation, but these 3 states haven't yet. So in the next 3 months, assuming I have 100 political power or more available every 30 days, I can augment all of these by one additional build slot. So basically it unlocks a build slot out here. So Westfalen will have another build slot unlocked. And so will Hessen. Another build slot will be unlocked. So that's what's going to be one of our not so critical, but bonus tasks to pay attention to every 30 days or so. I should plan on augmenting the number of build slots across those 3 states. I do have 153 political power. One of the things I haven't done yet, so this might delay, this will delay, as I should have previously already picked an army, a chief of army. This is one I picked because it augments my attack capabilities. As I roll through Poland, I want this augmented, but more importantly, it gives me 0.3 0.3 army experience daily. I don't have a lot of experience. I want that to change. Another research completed. Now I'm going to augment my armies by researching field hospitals and logistic companies. So I'm going to jump out here and I'm going to study logistic companies. Once those are available, I'll be augmenting my army template to include them. All right, there's the war I told us was coming. Our the level of world tension has bumped significantly. We're at 34%. Normally it doesn't bump quite that high. Normally bumps to, I want to say, normally bumps to 29, 30%. The huge bump there is because you may have noted that Japan declared war on 2 entities. I think this was one of them. I could be wrong. Yes. And actually, it's easier to see if you just click on Japan. Japan declared war on, and they got war against all of China, but there were 2 bumps in declaring war. Normally, you only see 1. That might impact our timeline. It might not. We'll see how this plays out. Let's continue down the national focus path. I also have free military factories. So I have backfilled all of the ones I initially wanted. Let's go ahead and augment to 10 sport equipment and to 10 artillery, then to 10 for my fighters, then to 10 for my CAS. Those are my next bumps. I do have, sorry for jumping all over the map, I do have a mile to address. This one is for artillery. I want better breakthrough and more reliability than these, than this, and finally that one right there. So this will disappear because I've completed it. All right. Oh, we got 100 just after this became available. So this is Rhineland. Rhineland will get a bonus to number of slots. There we go. Let's go ahead and add a military factory to it. So we've had Moselland, Rhineland, we need Westfalen and Hessen. Those are the other two that are possibly available. I will not, based on my accrual rate, have 100 political power after 30 days. So it'll be a little delayed in backfilling those. Do you have another Mayo though? This is for tanks. This is one I use for tanks. Some people might argue that it's not the best one. I will eventually be building medium tanks, but I'm continuing to use this Mayo because it gives me speed. I like speed. All right, another tech researched. Another support company researched. We are moving along at a fantastic pace. It's the 21st of August, and this is dropping. I wanted to drop more, but it is dropping. Um, I need that to drop by an additional 9%. It takes 2 months to drop it 1% if I'm the only one dropping it. So that's 18 months out. And that will throw off my timeline a bit, I think. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Construction's moving along swimmingly. Got a fantastic number of civilian factories. I do have, and I am getting factories from trade. If I click on the trade icon right here and I do a mouse over on the exported, Italy's getting oil from me. Spain is getting aluminum from me. I'm going to pause the game here. Italy's getting rubber from me. No one's taking tungsten, even though there is 15 available. No one's getting steel, even though there's 112 available. No one's getting chromium, even though I've made 7 available. So I'm still trading. Let's get my next national focus right here. Let's pick my next research item. So I've got almost 3 full build queues running simultaneously. I'm short a few of the civilian factories, but that's okay. Want that to get to 15, but I'm going to need to finish some more civilian factories to get it there. Good. Let's knock out Westfalen. Westfalen gets an additional item. Hessen is next, and then that should wrap up all the states that have 100% infrastructure. All right, it is October of 37. How am I looking? I have 120. Naval experience, I'm going to spend 50 and knock these out real quick. 2 more days, I can pick this one. France joins the Allies on the 27th of October 1937. Great. I'm going to hit the F10 key so you can see it. Allies, all in that pink color, and France is officially part of it. Need to pick a new, I've already backfilled it, never mind. New research, I do have a Mayo I have to address. This one is for motorized and mechanized. This is my trucks and my mechanized tracked transport vehicles, so to speak. Need to make good decisions here. I want them to use less oil. fight better, and this is more fighting stuff. Looks good. Knock that out. So this will give me 6 more factories. We're almost at 100 again. I think just our 30 days need to complete before this will pop up and become available. This will pop the industrial integration will pop without 100, but it won't pop before 30 days. So any day now, I imagine, it should pop. I don't recall the last day I picked it up. There we go. Region-wide industrial integration. This one is for Hessen. Let's drop one more civilian factory into this queue. So in 126 days, it'll complete building all 3 of them. One of them only takes 18 days left. That's the active one that they're building. These will take 100 some odd days, 30 some odd days. Undetermined number of days. Why? Because there are no factories currently assigned to build here. All right. KDF Wagen is almost done. We're going to pick the extra research slot here momentarily. We'll wait 5 days. 5 days can queue up. I'm fine with that. Here we go. Let's start that one. Still have to assign my research slot. First going to jump out to construction. Look, we've got 45 out here. We're looking good. Building fast. Need to pick my next research item. And it's December of almost 38. Let's go ahead and get radar knocked out here. And then we're going to have 3 finished close to the same time frame. Looking really good out here. Knocking out those military factories. I have backfilled. I've got both support equipment and artillery already backfilled. I'm then going to backfill here. And then, actually, let's get them in the queue. Then I need to backfill into naval bombers, which I haven't built yet. I'm going to start building those. Let's even build them as a priority above the medium bombers. And let's backfill for trains. And for trains, we'll give them 2 military factories. All right. December of 37. We are sitting pretty right here in the game. F2. Got quite a few subs that are fully trained. Let's start deploying those trained submarines. So let's give 14 more. Let's give them 12 more. That'll put me at 40. Let's roll out 5 additional surface ships. And let's let time move forward. There. Got 40 subs out here. Now that I've got 40, I'm going to cut it into 4 fleets of 10. I'm going to let them, I'm going to let them repair, but I'm going to give them their first order. You want to convoy raid here and here. They'll move out. They'll pick a port out here, but this instead of red will turn green. The reason it will turn green, we're not at war. We're not exercising. We're doing a military, so to speak, order. But the subs aren't here. Because they're not here, that's why it's red. Once the subs arrive, it will turn green. You can see the path the subs are going to take to get there. All right. Subs have their orders. I always choose bombers. It came from advice from other video developers out there online. It does say that it gives you a reduction of consumer factories by 15%. It doesn't actually do 15%, but it does reduce, let's show it. It will reduce the number of factories assigned to consumer goods. So let's go ahead and pick approve the sale. and I get 3 additional civilian factories that I can have out here building stuff for me. So anything that can increase the number of civilian factories for construction helps you uh, prepare for your next conflict. All right, I've already picked this. I don't have any infrastructure, so when I get to 200, not 100, because this guy only gives 8.3% daily accrual of Navy experience. When I get to 200, I'm going to pick this guy right here because I want to accrue Navy experience in mass. Almost there. 39 to go. Oh, let's pick our next research tech. It's January of 38. We're going to go ahead and start researching computing machine because it increases our research speed by an additional 5%. Got another 1938 tech I can research. Let's knock this one out. And in 2 days, we'll have another one. And I'm going to pick this one in 2 days. Let's knock out our 38 tech as early as possible. Perfect. Got a mile I've got to manage my mile. This one is designed for my battleships, making decisions that impact my battleship capabilities. Almost have my next research site. Almost have it. Not quite yet. Waiting for this to get to 200. And then I can pick this guy right here. Almost there. There we are. We've crossed the 200 boundary. Now you're going to see this jump significantly. One, I get 0.063 daily because my ships are exercising. That's because these 14 ships are exercising. But I get a huge bonus because I've got that leader, Karl Donitz. He gives 0.4 naval experience daily. So I want him to be the Chief of Navy. So that chewed up my political power. Let's accrue some more. I'm going to add to this queue, I'm going to add convoys to that queue. I only have 20 dockyards. All 20 are allocated. So I don't have any dockyards down here. But when I do get more dockyards, I'll begin building convoys. So taking a peek out here, this has dropped a lot. This is all fantastic news for me. We have a reduction in world tension. We're at 26. Need it to keep going down. All right. However, I want it to go down. It's about to go up because I have to complete this national focus before I can do this national focus, Danzig or war. This is the one where you're justifying against Poland and you have to be below 24%. You have to be below 25%, 24 or lower world tension when you run during the entire 70 days of that national focus. If you go above 24% world tension or start above 24% world tension, England will guarantee the independence of Poland. And if England is guaranteeing Poland's independence and you declare war on Poland, the Allies join the war. So I'm obligated to increase world tension by 3% by using this one. So not much I can do to get around that. So it's February of 38. Need to pick my next tech I'm going to research, and I'm going to upgrade my tank mile by upgrading my armor capabilities. So once that national focus is done, this will be 3% higher. So if I'm at 25, it'll bounce to 28. If I'm at 26, it'll bounce to 29. But world tension is going to increase. But it is March of 38. Theoretically, in the original timeline, I'm right now annexing Austria. And I'm just now getting those additional divisions. And I'm just now getting those additional military and civilian factories. I've had them for a year. I'm building my infrastructure a year ahead of the pace that the historical timeline follows. I'm also not having to build synthetic factories. Why? Because I got plenty of oil and plenty of rubber. So I'm not wasting items in the construction queue for synthetic refineries. I don't need them. I don't want them. I don't want to build them. I don't care about them. So let's look at our stockpiles while we're here. I have 400 planes or fighters. I've got over 300 close air support. So I'm going to hit my F3 key. Because I've got at least 300 additional fighters, I'm going to split them in half. And I'm also going to take my close air support and split them in half twice. I'm going to highlight all of them, wait for them to backfill. Now I've got 600 fighters that need to train and 400 close air support that need to train. Let's get them trained up. We're starting to do our prep work for our war against Poland. Let's get planes built and trained. So I've already done an expansion of this design. When I say this design, this used to be the Winzig template. Now it's the infantry division template. I need to bump them off of the Winzig to the infantry division template. Why? Because the green, the yellow, and the magenta armies will be invading Poland, and you don't want to invade with the Winzig template. So let's get them swapped out. And once they're swapped out, we're going to start training them. How am I looking on infantry equipment? I'm looking good. How am I looking on support equipment? Fantastic. How about artillery? Even better. I've got a fantastic supply of that equipment. But I need to train my tank divisions. Even though I'm short on tanks, I'm still going to train them. I need them to bump up to level 3 as well, because I'm also going to use my tanks to push into Germany or into Poland. Got another Mayo. This one is for my close air support. So I already know what I like to pick. Well, apparently, and I can fix this, I wasn't paused. So it took my pre-staged choices and then just left. I'm going to go back out here and I'm going to repick it. Let's go to details. You can see it already applied that one. Then I've got 1, 2, 3. Let's make that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it applied this one immediately because it was first in the queue. Next time I have enough experience points for this mile, this one will auto apply all the way through until it finishes the last one for auto applying. But that's what that pre-selection stuff does for you, is it auto applies decisions you've made in advance to the Mayo to enhance your planes that are built by that Mayo, by that manufacturing company. So 26% and dropping, but we're going to see a bump here. We're definitely going to see a bump. Love to see it drop to 25% before we get there. Not sure if I'm going to see that. What I'm paying attention is there's 15.7. My contribution, even though this national focus adds 3%, because I'm not officially adding to world tension, I keep dropping the percentage I had. So we were at 26, it jumped to 29. We're right on the verge of dropping from 26 to 25, so we're right on the verge of dropping from 29 to 28. So I cannot do this one, nor do I want to do this one right now, because I'm above, total world tension is above 20, it's at 25% or higher. It's above 24%. So I'm going to pick a different national focus now, and I'm going to do treaty with the USSR. Let's knock this one out. Actually, scratch that. Let's build my infrastructure out. That builds infrastructure in 4 states, bumping it from whatever it's at to 100%. All right, there's Lithuania folding. I've got 18.5% world tension, now 18.4, and dropping. At some point, this will get to 28, and then it still needs to continue to drop, obviously. So I currently have to drop world tension by 5%. To drop it by 5% will take 10 months. That puts us in March of 39, that it will be low enough that I can actually execute on the national focus Danzig War, assuming no other countries contribute to world tension. So it is May of 38. Let's get the additional radar tech out there. Let's also get the medium tank, excuse me, not the medium tank. Let's get the new tank chassis researched, and in a few days, I'm going to pick out 2 additional tank techs and get them knocked out before before I pick anything else. Looking really good. And so I'm going to hit, I'm going to click on construction or the T key, and I'm going to hit F. Actually, I'm going to click on infrastructure. We're at 80%, 60%, 80%, 80%. All 4 of these states will be at 100% when this national focus completes. Just a heads up. And because infrastructure is at 100%, that means I will build factories in them. Excuse me. We're at 38. I already know where I want to go. I want to improve my tank engines, and I want to improve my tank armor capabilities. Those 2 are knocked out. And we are going to unpause and keep on moving down the road. Let's hit F3. Those are all trained. Yep, didn't have any reliability problems where a plane broke before they completed getting to 100%. So we are in fantastic shape there. How is my production queue? Naval bombers, not there yet. We got 3 left, and then we're going to get the next. So the next 8 are spoken for. 3 here, 5 here, then 2 here. All right, 3, 5, 2. Next 10 are spoken for. And we've begun building them. Let's take a peek out here. We're looking good. Because I've got 355 political power, let's go ahead and bump 1, give it an additional build slot. There we go. These 4 have not had their build slots augmented yet, but of the 4, 3 of them haven't even completed augmenting their infrastructure yet. So we're playing a bit of a waiting game here. Only 1 left. Ostmark. That one hasn't finished upgrading its infrastructure. All right, we no longer get the reduction to consumer goods, having worked with Yugoslavia. So we have those civilian factories taken away and put back into the consumer goods dedicated queue. All right, we have finished Reichs Audubon. Now we're going to do a treaty with USSR. What this treaty does is it gives us bonuses to building tanks, an accelerated research capability, and the national focus immediately following it also adds to our research capabilities. So I will be able to research the 1940 medium tanks at a faster pace than other countries could normally research them. All right, we have backfilled. Let's train if we haven't trained. Yep, Pink needs to train. It's August of 38. We're at 27% and dropping. Let's go ahead and recognize Bulgarian claims. But when this gets dropped an additional 3%, we need to be at 24%. It'll take 6 months to get there. When we get to 24%, then we'll choose Danzig or war, but not before then. The normal historical timeline is September 1st of 1939, Germany invades Poland. I'm going to do it ahead of that timeline, and I'm going to do it without the Allies helping them. Why? Because I'm monitoring and managing war, uh, uh, the world tension here. And world tension needs to be at 25% or less. So we're at 4 months before it drops. So September, we got all of September, all of October, all of November, all of December. So in January, this will show 24%. I could then pick the national focus Danziger War. Pause the game. Let's go ahead and do a little cleanup here. Pick some additional research. One will be construction 2, 116 days to complete. The other is going to be the factory dispersed industry 3. All right, those are knocked out. Got 2 more available in the next 12 days or less. So I'm going to, in advance, pick the rest of the critical industry tech that I need to pick. So the next one is, let's go ahead and knock out advanced. Sorry, I picked advanced machine tools, and the other one is going to be fuel refining 3. All right, 61 days till I finish this one. We're looking sweet. All right, completed the national focus. World tension is still too high, but now I'm going to knock out, what do I want? Oh, Army Innovation 2. I already said I was going to do that. Let's get that one knocked out. So, I do have a fair amount of Army experience. Not as much as I would like, but a fair amount. And so I'm going to spend some. And how I'm going to spend some is I'm going to take my current division templates. I'm going to retire some. They're not deleted. They're just not considered active. I'm going to leave that one out there because eventually that will be my military police one. But I'm going to take the infantry division one, which is fantastic for defending because the Dutch have such an ineffective army initially. That was also very effective for offense, but I'm going to augment this to make it effective for fighting against Poland. That helps me take fewer losses and fewer hits to dead or to uh, the ability to fight, which is your army experience level. They're all level 3. It degrades slower with it. I'm also going to add logistic company. So field hospitals, you can see trickle back and war support protection is higher with that. I'm also going to add artillery, more artillery, which increases our soft attack. This is what works for me. I do have to, scratch this. I'm going to cancel this. Let's go back to edit again. Let's pick duplicate first. I don't want to modify the existing one. I want to create a duplicate of it and give it a new name. So let's give it the offense name. Let's go ahead and pop out here. Let's give it the field hospital and the logistic company. Let's go back and rinse and repeat. Give it artillery. And let's also make it an elite division. Elite divisions get replacement equipment, backfill their equipment, their artillery, their infantry, uh, uh, their population count, so to speak, all get appropriated to those divisions before others. So I'm going to save that change. Boom. I'm going to tell the Green Army, guess what? You look great as a defensive one, but you'll look even better as an offensive one. It takes 1,700 towed artillery to upgrade. I've got plenty. Let's go ahead and upgrade. Boom. Knowing that I already have plenty, I'm going to do the same thing with the Yellow Army. Boom. And I'm going to tell the Field Marshal, don't train. I'm going to wait for these to transition to not fully trained, experience level 3. As they backfill with equipment and personnel, there they are. Then I'm going to tell them to train again. Now, what do I have? Plenty of infantry equipment, plenty of artillery, and plenty of support. Guess what? Pink, you're already training. You're training to be great defensive. Well, let's switch you. Let's have you keep training and have you be a great offensive army. So they've got to backfill equipment as well. But they're going to keep training. Once their training is complete, they will be fully trained level 3 as the offensive template. Why? Because I'm going to be pushing this direction with the green and yellow armies, and pink, magenta initially will move into Danzig, and then they will start pushing this direction. But I want them to be level 3 before they get there. In addition to that, I need to augment right here. Augment that rail line so that it's a level 2, so this becomes 9 out of 20 instead of 9 out of 15. I'm also going to tell my field marshal we're level 2. Let's hit F4 again. And now all the armies underneath that field marshal are level 2 motorization. Use trucks. And we have plenty of trucks. Yes, I've got plenty of trucks. I have a few that are getting allocated right now, but I still have over 1,300 in stockpile. Artillery, it's growing. It's growing by 10 a day. Support equipment growing by just shy of 10 a day. So I've got plenty of both. My medium tank chassis has been researched. And notice I have a 200% bonus to research this one. Well, 200% for me is a little overkill. I'd rather just use 100%. Well, guess what I get from this national focus? And this will become um, the de facto bonus that shows up there, because I want to use that 200% bonus when I get to the 1943 medium tanks. That's the real devastating tank chassis that I will use during the invasion of Russia and or the United States. That's the chassis I'll be using. So I have already backfilled all of my military factories. Now I need more fighter planes, so I'm going to give them 10 more. How does my construction queue look? It looks wonderful. I have completed infrastructure across these 4 states, so I'm going to backfill across 3 of them additional military factories. So what do I have? Let's take a peek out here. I have 77 military factories, and I'm building, still to be built, an additional 10, 11, 21, 31, and 12, 43, and 6 more. 49 more military factories are being produced. I also need to augment my army. How am I going to augment my army? I'm going to enhance my infantry. I'm going to enhance my tanks, and I'm going to enhance my close air support. I still have 136 left. When I get to 200, I'm going to be enhancing my ability to research, so to speak, additional war army in particular. What do I want to call it? Going blank here. Doctrine. And I'm going to be going down this path to research army doctrines, which enhance my ability to use my tanks in particular. So Army Innovation 2 is done. Need to pick another national focus. We're approaching 1939. I'm going to pick this one because it speeds up our ability to build rail lines and infrastructure. Might as well knock that one out. So again, I'm waiting for, got a backfill research. That's not what I wanted. Oh, see, I said it would switch. That's a 100. So it'll take me 223 days. We're almost 1939. I do not want that right now. 1939 tech. I want to knock this one out because that's part of my tank design. It gives me a medium tank cannon. Instead of the basic, it gives me the regular medium tank cannon. I do want the advanced one, but that's going to be much further in the playthrough. All right, I'm going to put things on pause for a moment here, and I will be right back. Just a moment.